Welcome to the Vocal Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Martin Thomas. Join me and my guest speakers as we discuss their journey with their voice and how they use it to support their passions and professions in media, education, and the performing arts. My guest this week is singer and voice specialist Pamela Bezzina. As the founder and director of Vocal Booth Studios based in Malta, a company of amazing teachers provides instruction for individuals and groups. Pam and I met on a course many years ago, and since hearing her sing in one of the open sessions, I have become a huge fan. I'm thrilled to speak with her about her favourite adventures or obstacles working as a singer, and also learn from her own lightbulb moments and observations as a coach working with others' voices. Pamela focuses mainly on vocal technique during her singing lessons, where she helps singers explore their abilities while educating them to avoid vocal abuse or misuse. She has a degree in speech and language pathology, and along with otolaryngologists and ENT specialists in Malta, she plans and administers a rehabilitation program for singers with voice disorders. I'm excited to hear about her journey from being a little girl with, I imagine, a big voice, and how it all unfolded. So welcome, Pamela, to the Vocal Freedom Podcast.
Wow, thank you. I'm overwhelmed with that introduction. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to be speaking with you. So I'd love to, if we could tell our listeners, how would you describe your journey with your voice? How did it all begin?
Oh, well, it's been a long time. I'm 39 years old now. I'm not ashamed of saying that. So it's been like 38 years, I think.
Yes.
Journey with my voice. Basically, when I was very, very young, I used to listen to a lot of singers. From a very, very young age, I used to pick up the singers and see which singers to listen to. For example, I used to have cassettes at that time with songs from Stevie Wonder, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, the big voices, Celine Dion. Those were the voices that I used to listen to. And I remember myself, even at the age of 6, 7, where I used to really look into the detail of what they're doing. It's not just enjoying the song, but really looking into their details of how they reach some notes, of how agile they are, how they manage to do so many notes in a little time. I was always a fan of soul and jazz and R&B from a very, very young age. And I always used to, of course, when you're young, you start imitating other singers and trying to sing other singers' songs. And I remember myself at around 10, 12 years, experimenting with my voice and doing a lot of, today we call them different qualities, but obviously I didn't know about them back then. And I used to experiment with different sounds and to see how I sound with this voice and then to see how I sound with that voice and trying to get into what I like most. Then I remember seeing an article or something. We didn't have YouTube and all these things at that time.
Of course.
So it was an article, and it was about singing technique and how this person who is the voice coach can teach you how to use your voice properly. And we were in that into voice coaching here in Malta, at least when I was that young.
Yeah. So
I used to say, wow, this profession really happens, and so people can really teach others how to use their voices. And I used to, as I told you, experiment and start reading about these things. At 16, I started my voice lessons, so it wasn't very early for me. Mm-hmm. And my voice teacher was a classical singer from Bulgaria. She was incredible with this huge voice at 70 years old. Wow. And I started vocal technique, and that was my revelation when I started getting to know my voice and how I can manipulate it and how I can use it well.
Yes.
And basically that's it. And from then on, I just wanted to have this profession. I studied speech and language pathology, as you said. Yes, and then I just wanted to continue specializing on voice. And basically that, I feel that it's a mission for me. It's not just my job.
It's your purpose.
It's yes, and it gave me purpose when I started working as a speech language pathologist and working with voice.
Yes.
That was my mission. That's where I fitted in. That's basically when I felt, yes, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean because, what we have in common is we went from being performers to becoming teachers.
True.
And that's that. I think actually all of your performance experience is so valuable when you're training others who haven't done it yet, when they haven't done it.
True.
So I imagine, your singers are so lucky. So you've been and performed in some amazing arenas. I was watching some of your performances from Eurovision and things like that. I'd love to hear how that came about. So how did you get into the Eurovision stuff? How did that come about?
Okay, well, the actual Eurovision Song Contest, I've been there for, I think 5 or 6 times as a vocal coach. And also as a backing vocalist. They've all been really nice experiences because it was always with a different singer. So it's always a different story. It's always a different voice to work on and a different song, of course. And they come with a baggage. So some people just see the glamour of it. But there's a lot of work.
Yes.
Vocally, psychologically, mentally. Physically, there's a lot of work because the person needs to be very, very fit.
Yes.
In order to, and here in Malta, I don't know about other countries, but here in Malta, it's a huge thing. Eurovision is given a lot of importance. Too much, in my opinion, too much. Because it's just one thing that you can do out of many things. But some people here think that Eurovision is the only thing you can do, But anyway, I've gained a lot of experience there. I've met a lot of other vocal coaches, which I am very grateful of meeting. And yes, and then personally, I have been in the national contest as well for several amount of years. I'm going to be honest with you. As a performer, I'm not really into competitions.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've been there and I've enjoyed it. I've had my downs as well. But competition doesn't really bring out the best of me because I love doing music just for the sake of doing music and for people to appreciate what I'm doing and for me to appreciate what others are doing. When you're in competition, there is the element of competition, even if competitors look very friendly with each other. I mean, there's still that competitive feeling and I don't like it. I just love concerts. I love doing gigs and as I said, concerts as well. And lately I have been involved into a lot of Maltese music with our Maltese language.
Ooh.
And it's amazing when you work with other artists and with other musicians and you bring to the table your ideas and people appreciate what you're doing and respect you for being a musician. I believe that's what every musician or singer looks for when doing music.
Absolutely.
And not to be judged and all those things.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that we try and encourage our students not to hold value in the opinion of others and to come from a place of, singing from themselves. Yes,
I have a lot of students who do them.
Yes.
And I really enjoy working with them and preparing them for them. But I try to work more mentally on them as well so that they will just enjoy their moment. They focus on their voice and they focus on giving a good show and a good name for themselves, but don't let the result to determine their worth.
Absolutely. So important.
Because it's really not
there was obviously we had Eurovision very recently, didn't we? And famously, the UK gets 0 points. But I think we all know when we're British that it's not really down to the artist or the song. It's just down to the fact that everybody hates us. So we just laugh about it.
I don't hate you.
No, I know you don't. And Malta's always been our friend. Usually we get points from Malta, don't we, in the Eurovision? Yeah. So, I suppose one of the questions I have for you that I'd love to ask is, and I suppose it must come through in your teaching, is that anything you know now that you wish you'd known sooner? So I think it's that value of your experience that you would perhaps advise a young singer who's coming up now. What do you think's most important?
Oh, there are so many things. But first of all is being guided by someone who really knows the subject well. Because unfortunately, I presume that in all other areas, unfortunately, there are people who teach singing, yes, but don't really know the subject very well. And then they end up doing more harm than good. I mean, I'm not in any way boasting about anything that I do. It's not about that. But I see people who come from other institutes or other teachers who come with a lot of problems. And that's because they weren't guided properly, because they have some habits that are wrong in them, and no one pointed them out or no one told them about them. And I started studying at 16, which wasn't bad, but I would have benefited more if I started before. And so I still do exercises. I still look for teachers so that I can do some sessions myself, because I think you never know enough. So
of course,
it's good that you keep learning. And another thing is self-worth. It's believing in yourself and love what you have. I mean, yes, you go to teachers and you learn your skill and you learn about your voice. But most importantly is that whatever step you achieved, even if it's a small step, you'll be grateful for that, because if you don't like your voice yourself, then no one will start loving you. If you don't deliver the love of your voice, if you don't deliver how much you love your music, then others can't really appreciate that. And it's a tough industry. Music is a tough industry, as you can say, you can confirm. The more success you do, the more critiques you're going to have. The more you're going to gain, the more you're going to get people who will do obstacles for you. And it's like any other industry. And what happens is you end up either blaming the music you do, or blaming your voice, or blaming yourself. Something that I wish that I had when I was young is someone to tell me, whatever you do, if you do it from a good place, if it's starting from a good place, it's good, do it. Because I passed through some phases where I didn't believe much in myself, or I didn't think I was enough, or I stopped for a while singing because I thought I was better as a backing vocalist or as a teacher only.
Yes.
But performing is what we're meant to be doing, all of us. Whatever, in the shower, in your car, on a stage, for one person or for a million persons, it's coming from the same place, from the same good place. So
absolutely,
if you have this love in you, nothing and no one can stop you from doing it. So.
Oh, that's a beautiful answer, Pam. Thank you. It's really lovely. It's inspiring for young singers as well, I think, to hear experienced older women who've been there, done that. Talking about, the things that we've learned along the way. So I'd like to ask if there's any sort of light bulb moments that you've experienced that you'd like to express about, so when you work with someone and something happens, light bulb. Yes.
I get these light bulb moments, I think, every week. Let me say that. Yeah. First of all, from my students. You know how it is when you're teaching, you know your subject very well, but still you get those moments where we'll be like, this exercise really helped, or this exercise is really not helping. Yeah. So I need to change. But when you get the light bulb moments of, for example, I have a student who is studying to become a doctor. So he's very much into physiology and what works and what doesn't. He's not into becoming a professional singer. He just wants to explore. And it's really beautiful. The sessions are really beautiful. And last time I told him he has some muscle tension in his jaw area. Mm-hmm. So I was just giving him some tips on how to place his jaw and how to not to clench his teeth and everything. And he just did a siren. And he could go high to the much higher when we did the adjustment. And he was like,
yes,
I never felt this. And for us, it's like basic, It's in the first sessions you start exploring and assessing and arranging. And for him, it was like a big light bulb moment. He's like, I never felt this. And for me, it was such a nice feeling.
It feels like we do magic.
It's true. And it's like, listen, we're going to have a lot of these moments. So he's like, yes, I'm really looking forward to this. And it's beautiful. And it's worth so much when you do this. And for me personally, I wanted to share this. A light bulb moment for me personally was when I explored the mix voice in my voice. because I was trained as a classical singer in the beginning. So my chest voice was sometimes given the side track, so not to use a lot of my chest voice and be in my petto voice, etc.
Yes.
Then I started studying contemporary, and things changed. But the mixed voice was very, very new, and I couldn't access it. So I knew all the things, the theory, I knew it, but my voice, I couldn't get there. And this was when I was in my 20s. So my voice was still changing a little bit. My voice kept changing until I was 22, 23.
Yeah, mine up to 25 even. Just,
exactly.
Yeah, and even now I'm getting old now, so it's changing again.
It's changing again.
Yeah.
Hello, hormones.
Yes. Totally.
Anyway, and when I once managed to do my mixed voice, I was crying with joy because finally I got access to this thing that was a mystery to me.
Okay.
And this I tend to share it with my students as well, because and I tell them what I pass through. This is something else. I mean, we teachers sometimes expect us to be perfect or almost perfect because we need to teach. We need to give the good example. But what I find really interesting is that you share your strengths and your weaknesses with the students, and they can relate to you much, much more. And they say, like, okay, so it's not just me. And I'm like, no, even me. I feel that. And it's really helpful for the student as well.
I totally agree with you. And I think what I've really enjoyed along the way of us sort of keeping in touch through Facebook and Instagram and things is that you will post a rehearsal of you working on a really tricky riff. And students love that. They want to see you going through that process, and it helps them realize there is a process to get these, very difficult things ingrained in our muscle memory and things. So yeah, it's wonderful. It's walking the walk and talking the talk, isn't it?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Okay. So I'd love to ask you, and obviously with your background in rehab as well, but is there anything that you consider the most valuable thing for a singer to take care of their voice?
Well, I think first of all, a singer should know their voice, should know what the voice does, how it works. I don't mean that you need to know all the anatomy and physiology, not that, but at least you would know how it works, what it entails, what you need to strengthen, what you need to look for. For example, I get students who rehearse in garages, for example, and they rehearse without a microphone. So the drums is acoustic live, and it's just right behind them. And then the bassist is there with his amplifier, and the guitarist is there with the amplifier, and they are just mic'd with a little microphone or nothing at all. And they don't get it that's a lot of abuse there. So for us, maybe those who have been studying, some things are taken for granted, and of course you need to hydrate, or you need to take care of the amplification, whatever. But some people don't get it. You really need to get them to listen. I have my voice cannot be changed, so I need to really take care of it. Long hours of rehearsals need to be taken care of, etc. So I've seen a lot. Also, I have a lot of teachers who have their full-time job as teachers in schools, and then their part-time is singing. And they don't realize that so much work on the voice make them tired. So no amount of technique and awareness can make you not become sick or hoarseness in their voice. So what I really like is to do like a is it called a log?
A log, practice log.
Yeah, where you every day, like a diary, you log in your vocal work, and then you realize certain days why you're so tired. It could be your work in the morning. It could be singing. It could be your hormones. It could be something you ate.
Yes.
So some people just need to get aware of their lifestyle, of their daily habits.
Absolutely.
And what is causing them their difficulties. And also nowadays we have so many professionals who can help. In my days, very few were in my days. It's like
we're not that old, but I know what you mean.
But things changed so much since I was a teenager, and they have everything today. And sometimes they just don't really care. They just want to become pop stars overnight, But
I know.
But there are so many people who can really help. And being a vocal coach, as you are, know that we can really make a difference. It's not because I love my job, but what we do can really make a difference. I see people who change their vocal habits from one page to the next, and they're just more confident in their voice because they know what they're doing, and technique-wise, and because you study, you get more confidence. So when you're on stage, you know that you're going to hit that note because you studied, because you worked for it, and because you know that by working on it, you can do it. It's about so many things. I can't really put them in one, but having someone to guide you, I think it's one of the most important things.
It makes complete sense. And I love the idea that as a coach, we're an extra pair of eyes and we're an extra pair of ears. Because quite often, and this is where it can sometimes be working on our own techniques, it's quite difficult to coach oneself, but there are ways of obviously working on with your own practice. But do you still have a teacher? Do you still work with anyone to?
Actually, not on a regular basis. However, yes. In fact, I just applied with a local teacher here for some lessons on classical voice.
Oh, okay.
Classical singing.
Do you fancy doing something more?
I want to do something. Because I've started there, that's it.
This is funny.
And I used to love it.
Yeah, I was going to say this is really funny for me because I've been working with this other teacher on a different thing, nothing to do with our voices, but we're different. She's a classical teacher and I'm more CCM musical theatre. So I've suggested to her we just do a sort of a session for each other. For fun. Do you know what I mean? So I said, right, so she's going to send me some songs to listen to and I'll pick one and I'm going to send her some. And I thought, well, one laugh. Why not? It's fun.
That's really beautiful. And that's fine because I'm into contemporary singing. I have some other tutors in my studio who teach musical theatre as well.
Yes.
But I refer to them for musical theatre. I'm more into contemporary jazz, blues, rock and pop. But
all the juicy stuff.
Yes, I love it.
Me too.
And I just contacted her and told her, listen, I want to come and do some nice arias with that. And she was like, yes, let's do it. And I get to know what you work on and how we can share information. Same thing.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I look really forward to that.
And when I come to Malta next year, I'm definitely coming to you.
Come.
Without a doubt. I'm coming for a lesson.
You come
and teach me some. You can teach me one of these crazy runs.
Great.
Okay, so here's a question then. So the voices that inspire you, who could you never tire of listening to? Let's pick up some juicy songs and we can put them in the notes for our listeners. Best performances, give you the goosebumps. You know, they just dreamy.
Okay. Let me think. Well, I'm a big fan of Bobby McFerrin.
Oh my God, so am I. That is amazing because he's so clever with his voice. Oh my God.
I mean, he's technical.
Yes.
Very technical. But he's very emotional, and whatever he does, you said the word before, he's spiritual. That's the word. And I don't mean religious. It's coming from, whatever he does, it's coming from such a beautiful place. And he's such an amazing artist and amazing musician. There is you have a brilliant musician singer there in London, Jacob Collier.
Ah, yes.
He's incredible as well.
Okay.
I love Tori Kelly as an artist.
Me too.
She's brilliant. I love Alicia Keys. I love her soul. I love how she writes the songs and how she delivers the songs. And then there is a great artist. She's called Yebba. When I'm sad, for example, or when I am in a particular mood, I love hearing Yebba because she makes me cry so much, and I release so much of my tension.
Yeah, it's like a release.
And she puts a lot of goosebumps. She's technical, but her heart is in her hand when she sings.
This is what we love as
That's it.
Yes, it's that communication that you become part of it. I think you're drawn in. Sure. You're drawn in. Sure. And I think we do see that when we see someone is being completely truthful with their voice. I think that's the thing as well, and honest. It's that truthful, that honesty, communication, and not not being in your own way on stage. So this
Exactly.
is what, this is what we teach our singers. So never tire of listening to Yebba. I'll have to look up her as well, won't I?
I will send you some tracks.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask this could be quite a spiritual question, but it doesn't necessarily involve faith or religion. But what does your voice mean to you?
Well, I can actually say it's everything. Easily say it's everything. I'm gonna confess something. When back in 2016, I had a gig where I had a terrible sound and I had to sing for 4 hours. Oh. And somehow something happened and I lost my voice completely.
Ouch.
I was aphonic for around 3 weeks on total vocal rest. And it was such a big disappointment for me because I am a voice specialist. I am a voice teacher. I know so many things about my voice, and I lost it still. And it was a big disappointment for me, first of all. Then, when I realized that I am human as well,
yes,
and that it could happen to everyone, I started realizing how important my voice is to me. I mean, I didn't go out of the house because I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to sing. I had so many other gigs which I cancelled. I did it because it was for the best of my voice, but my voice is everything. I mean, it's my world. It made me meet the people. It made me meet my husband.
That's how you met.
Of course. We were in a gig and we met there and we just kept in touch and then things happened.
It happened. You must be how long have you been married now? A couple of years?
Yes, 2018. So it's
Wonderful.
2.5 years.
Oh.
Yes, but we've been together for 11 years now. So
yeah. So my husband and I next month is our anniversary. 23 years married.
Wow, God
I know.
bless.
That's crazy, right? 23 years married. And, but yeah, but I completely relate to this story because back in 2009, I was at a gig out and I was gigging with my band and it was summer and we were outside, but we were covered with this old wooden kind of pergola thing, like a really old, like ancient. Okay. Mouldy kind of feel, like it smelled in there. It wasn't a nice thing. And we because it could rain and we had equipment, we were underneath this thing. Well, I gigged my gig, and I'm there like a couple of hours later. And the next day I woke up and my voice box had just seized. It swollen, seized. I couldn't speak. I was like, I was panicked, actually. I was like, oh my God. And in fact, I had another gig the next day and I was, what the hell? So, I couldn't see a doctor straight away, but it turned out, it was a couple of weeks before I actually got to see a doctor, that I had a mould infection.
My goodness.
We can only presume from singing underneath this damp kind of, gave me an infection which created a sort of mould in my throat. I had to have this horrible medicine. It was disgusting to kind of like get rid of it for about 2 weeks. But in that period of time when my instrument, my livelihood wasn't there, oh my God, the fear, but also to some degree the shame, because you feel like if I'm trained, I should know how not to lose my voice. And you feel fear, what if people are now not going to visit me for singing because they'll think I don't know what I'm talking about. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yes,
because
exactly.
that is the fear. But I am grateful of that journey because it meant I got to meet my ENT, who I'm still friends with. And that took me into the journey of learning more about the physiology, because that was the first time I saw down my throat. Okay. And then I was like, whoa, what's going on in there? So that started my fascination with the anatomy of it all. Yeah. And it was just, so I feel like I needed that to help me to where I've, the roads that I've traveled since, which has been a dream. Everything we pass through, even the worst phases, are there for us to learn. Exactly. In fact, since then, I visit my ENT 3 times
a year or 4 times. Even if I have nothing, I just go. He does an endoscopy on me and just check that everything is fine. Because who else is going to take care of my instrument if not myself? So I just do it.
Yes,
And
wonderful.
since then, thank God, I never had any more problems.
Yes, me too.
It was a life-changing experience. Yes, and today I'm not ashamed of sharing it.
No, me neither.
Back then, I was very ashamed. I mean, today I just realize it can happen to anyone, you know. But today I share it so that people can relate even to other people's
absolutely
problems,
there's a lot of stories on the podcast so far actually of people doing the same thing, and I think that's going to help people not feel this sense of panic if something bad happens, and just get the treatment you need. And also the more of a vocal athlete you are, the more of a professional you are, the more you're using it, the more at risk essentially.
Exactly.
So it goes with the territory, I think.
True. Okay. Very true.
So my last question to you really is to ask you what vocal freedom is to you. And I'm sure it's what you do on stage. I've seen it and it's a wonderful thing. But please talk me through, what's it like being you when you're singing on stage?
Oh, well, sometimes people tell me, don't you miss singing on stage? And yes, of course. But I think vocal freedom for me, vocal freedom for me, it means that having your voice available to you whenever you need to express yourself. Now, on stage is one thing because you have loads of people there who are cheering and you dress up really nicely and your hair is made up and all makeup and everything. But for me, the freedom of using your voice freely and whenever you want to express yourself, as I said, sometimes we artists I can say that have some difficulty in expressing ourselves in what our soul is saying or what our hearts are saying. We're fragile because we are artists. That's what I believe. And sometimes I believe that only through my music I can express how I'm feeling or what is going through my head or my mood or anything. And being able to know my voice very well and training my voice and having my voice fit, I can freely use it to express myself. So what I believe is, because some people sometimes ask me, and I'm sure you get this yourself, being too technical or being too emotional? What's the balance? I believe a really good balance is necessary. I mean, I know people who have been singing and have no technique and they still sing beautifully. Mm-hmm. And then I have other people who are very technically there, but they still don't get through the message. I think a balance of both. Technique can help you express yourself better. Technique can help you make that sound that you have been looking for. Technique can help you make your songs more emotional. But without your heart, there's nothing on stage. So I believe freedom is having technique and having a really good heart and soul so that you can express yourself really well. That
is a wonderful answer. And I so agree with you, because what do we know when we feel something missing watching a performance? It may be that disconnect.
Exactly.
And so it's really, just again, what lucky students you have, because you're bringing that to the page. And I think some people miss that if they're too, it's all about do this, do that, do this, do that. And they seem to forget that singing is expression.
Exactly.
And communication. So
definitely.
Fantastic. So tell me, what's coming up for Pamela? What's going on in Malta? Have you got some new gigs in the diary with clients and things? I mean, is it starting to pick up over there? How is it?
Yes, it's slowly picking up. Still, events are not allowed yet. Mm-hmm. Just very, very small weddings, and people need to be sitting down. No dancing, no concerts.
Oh.
So for now, yes, we're still there. I really look forward to better days. Well, actually, COVID had made me learn a lot of things. I mean, I did the videos that you were talking about because of COVID, because I had time.
Yes.
Because you know how it is to make videos. There's a lot of time of editing and filming and I didn't have time before.
Yes.
So I explored that area as well. But yeah, I hope for better times where we can. For example, I miss my choir as well. I have a gospel choir.
I know I've seen some of your arrangements on YouTube, so I'll put some links up.
Sure. Go ahead. All those that are on YouTube, I mean, are good ones. They express a lot of emotion.
In your arrangements of a couple of things I've watched with your choirs, I thought brilliant song choice for young people. You know, it's that attention to detail of singing inspirational music, singing songs about inclusion and friendship and everyone looking out for each other.
I choose the songs, me together with the core team. And that's the main reason, because we always wanted that our songs have a message, not just a love song with some special harmonies, but we need special harmonies with a really good message.
Yes.
Because I believe that choir songs and ensemble songs are a little bit stronger on the people listening. People get really attached to a large number of voices singing together. People get those goosebumps a little bit more. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
So I believe that we could use that music to express positive messages. And we get a lot of our audience who come to watch us just because of that, because they feel much better after hearing us, not just because of the good music, but also because of the message and the vibe that we get. Listen, I am a person who loves doing music with others. Yeah. I am a fan of doing duets and harmonies and in choir. I'm a big fan. Because I believe when you share music with others, it's the fulcrum, it's the ultimate, it's the highest grade you can get with music, instead of doing it on your own. Everyone has his own ideas about this. I'm not saying it's the most for everyone, but for me, it's what gives me the most satisfaction.
Definitely. And it comes across so well. It's really clear in your work, and you can obviously see it in the joy of your singers' faces, and what an inspirational lady you are. You know, it's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. And you are too. I love talking to you.
Oh, thank you.
And I love seeing your work, and you have the same soul. So I really can connect with you.
I think this is the thing, and you do see it in others. You see the light in others, and the intention is clear and good, and it's just about helping others. And I think what your concert goers will feel, I would even use the word healing, because that music, when it comes from that place of wanting to help, it's a healing capacity too, right?
True, it's therapy. Yes, true.
Fantastic.
Now, I would like to thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
For inviting me for this podcast. I would like to thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Because I know that it hasn't been an easy year for us, but you kept doing the work. And that's because it's coming from a very good place in your heart.
It is.
So I'm really grateful to know you and all the people at Estill as well. Yes. It's been a blessing to me. And just telling the listeners that if you have music at heart, and if you have your voice at heart, just keep going. Whatever people tell you. Even if they tell you you're not good enough, even if they tell you they don't listen to your voice or to your music, just do it for yourself first, then do it for others.
So wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you for joining me on the Vocal Freedom Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and we'll move into your day with a bit more vocal freedom, feeling that you can express using your voice and let the world hear what you have to say. Visit colchestervoiceacademy.com/podcast. Sign up to be kept informed as new episodes are published, and consider joining our online community. Membership to this will allow you to post questions to our guests, link you to show notes, social media links, and entitle you to exclusive offers from our guests. See you next time.